Hi everyone, welcome to my second daily edition. And in today's daily edition, I'm going to be talking about the pathway for desktop designs. So, a little bit of a revision. Desktop is basically the way of conveying information. For example, it could be through a phone or a computer, and they have very subtle differences. And in this video, I'm going to be presenting, based off my research, what the pros and cons are of a laptop operating system and a mobile operating system, and how it affects a business when designing its website. So, let's first start with the laptop. There are four main points that I want to talk about. First are the operation systems, then the browsers, then the monitor, and then the Intel, which is basically the core, the RAM, and basically the components that make up a laptop or PC or computer, etc. So let's start with the system operator and the browsers, because these factors are what I call built-in factors, is that they come with the laptops based on the brand. So let's start. There are three main brands that I want to talk about. First is Mac, then it's Windows, and lastly it is Linux. Now, MacBook is focused around security. Its firewall is really strong, and because of this, although the systems behind it are really good and it's optimized for office work, I believe, it fails to be able to download more complex things that the system might think is malware. For example, certain applications like an auto clicker, for example, because the systems of Mac reject files that are not listed officially. For example, if we have a file and we want to make it more respectable, more honest and more reliable, we need some way to prove that it was made by an official and can be trusted. So MacBook usually does not trust any pirated items, for example, any pirated games, any pirated applications, and which is why Mac, although it has a very smooth applications as well as operating system, it fails to compare to it has great security, but it's limited in options in what you can download and do for work. Next is going to be Linux. To be honest, I don't really know a lot about Linux because I haven't really discovered or researched anything about Linux yet, but I know it's a very advanced operation system operator, but it's basically a bit similar to Windows. Now, Windows, this is like a perfect middle ground between being able to download certain applications and having good security. Although Windows are more prone to virus infections and stuff, it has more reliability and agility. It's more agile and more reliable when wanting to download stuff. Now, I want to talk about the browsers. Why? For example, Chrome and Safari, and maybe Firefox, because I use Firefox. Chrome and Safari function very differently. Safari focuses on not letting other people or not letting other websites see what your data contains, whilst Chrome focuses on being able to open a lot of tabs efficiently, as well as having a variety of good extensions. So, this is why in the laptop, the built-in part is one of the most important parts, because you can either focus on flexibility, security, or have a middle ground that serves both ends. Now, why do I want to present about the monitor? Firstly, the monitor here on a laptop or computer has a bigger screen, meaning that it allows for more complex information, instructions, and interactions, which basically means that there's more information displayed on the monitor. Because of this, our website on the PC, for example, is going to be usually more complex and will have more features. Now, the Intel. Since a laptop is basically just a more advanced phone, I wouldn't really say that, but phones have their limitations, and computers are more sturdy, more powerful in some way. I can't describe it, but basically, it can multi-screen, which means that we don't have to get out the applications and reset any progress that we already had. Instead, we can multi-screen and just switch between screens so that we can continue working more efficiently, as well as the fact that the processing units of computers allow for larger programs to be run when we create our website. Now, our mobile. The system operators really depend on the brand here. For example, Samsung is going to be focusing on like their own features, whilst Apple is going to be a bit techy, this and that. Phones are like really diverse. There's gaming phones, there's work phones, and then there's phones that are good for camera angles, photo, and stuff. And there are system operators, although they really depend on the brand. It's almost the same as a laptop's operating system. However, they are smaller and more agile. On the other hand, whilst being smaller and agile, mobile version comes with more restrictions. For example, the most obvious one, that is having a smaller display screen, meaning that we have to stretch and design the page somehow to fit the mobile code. Next are the battery, because computer batteries are much stronger and more resistant than phone batteries. Next are going to be the applications that can be run, because phones can't really download anything from the internet. It usually goes to an app store and downloads them from there, because they're not, I think that's how it works. And lastly, the most important part, coding. Because most coding was originally designed to fit on computers, I believe. And because of this, if you want to put a website on mobile, it's very difficult to do it with laptop code, which means that we essentially have to convert the code into mobile code. So that's all for my second daily edition. Thanks for listening.